Hello ladies and gentlemen. In my daily quest of writing video scripts at 2 AM, the voices in my head started to get louder, telling me how much of a jobless degenerate that I am, and I should probably take a long walk down across a narrow bridge. Normally I do not listen to my self-destructive 2 AM thoughts, but sometimes they give really good video ideas, and this was one of them. Don't worry, I'm not gonna film myself on the edge of a building because my channel would get taken down and I no longer get ad revenue, nor will I make a thirst trap edit of Aglaya and turn this channel into a gooner hub. It kinda already is though. Instead, we'll be judging every Star Rail character and ranking them based on how jobless they are. Speaking as a YouTuber and a streamer, I think I have a pretty credible amount of authority for this. Let's go through the tier list itself. It is important to define what being jobless really means, first of all. Some people think that just because you have a job means you can be excused from being called jobless, but no, that is not the truth. Even if you put a jobless person in employment, they will still have jobless behavior. For example, Qingque. She's been employed for a long time, but can you really say that she doesn't act like the typical 23-year-old that mutes the word job on her Twitter timeline? No, she's exhibiting major signs of jobless behavior and cannot be considered employed. Being unemployed is a state of mind. The worst of all unemployed citizens avoid honest jobs like the plague and will literally kill an eon instead of getting a job. With that said, we will rank tiers like this. You got the lowest tier, which prioritizes their job so much that giving them some form of union will probably be the only way they don't die from overworking. These people literally work for the love of the game, and any human rights abuses are simply part of the job. Some of them will cause the entire universe to explode if they become unemployed. Perfect low tier material, right? Next are people that are employed. For these people, they will drop almost everything they have to respond to their 9 to 5. They don't have to necessarily contribute to society with their job, nor do they need to actually like their job. But to achieve the employed mindset, they need to do a fair amount of dedication at their work and show up consistently without much of a fuss. They will quit if they suffer from labor laws being broken, but they're going to stay through most situations. These are people that will respond to their 9 to 5 job, but not always. They will blow off their job if it's boring or something. It's like they do things for the love of the game, but sometimes their job or any job in the universe doesn't align with it, so they will choose to be jobless if the game is directly opposed to it. For example, Jing Yuan, might as well place him here. He loves the Luofu, and his 9 to 5 is being a general and protecting the people, but unless something real serious happens, he kinda sleeps most of the time and exhibits jobless behavior. Next is unemployed. These are people who simply have the unemployed mindset or the lifestyle. The types you'll be seeing here are sort of just doing nothing, either through principle or they legit cannot be employed. Like, how do you expect Akron to work at a McDonald's when she can't remember the order that was made 5 seconds ago? She's literally unemployable and just walks around the galaxy talking to dead people. And then you have the jobless final boss. These are characters that have jobophobia and if given a job might explode on the spot. Their identity is tied to not wanting to have a job or doing nothing as much as possible. Now, let's get on to ranking the characters in a way that will probably make people really angry about it, because this is aiming for comedic value and not statistical fact theory crafting. First, let's cover the main character, the Trailblazer. Now, the Trailblazer has been employed in many sort of scenarios. They've been a cat caretaker, they've been a restaurant chef, they've literally hunted ghosts for some reason, and you can see with their active resume in the game's events that they've had quite a lot of jobs under their hat. However, there's one thing that stops them from being employed. See, the Trailblazer is supposed to be an extension of the player, or let's say the general player base. And because of the player base being honkaistarrail players, they are the most jobless people in existence. And so, I think it's fair to say that the main character, the Trailblazer, just because they're an extension of the player, is the jobless final boss. I will rank myself in this place, just so I can make this point. Next, you have Arlen and Asta. Obviously, they're employed at the space station. Arlen probably needs a union as soon as possible because he is overworked to hell, but let's put him at employed for now. Next, you have Bronya. Bronya would need a union even though it's not possible for her job. Clara literally cannot be employed because she is a child. Please do not employ children to the coal mines. Next, you have Bailu. Now, Bailu is a doctor, and well, even though she's a child, she is employed. I don't want to put her in the same rank as Jing Yuan, as Bailu kind of wants to laze around and act like a kid. You know, she's a dragon lady and all that, but still, I don't think that it is fair to put her at employed with limits next to Jing Yuan because she definitely has a different attitude about her job and it's kind of excusable by her age. So I'll just say she's employed. Next, you have Dan Heng. Dan Heng, if you give him a job, will definitely stick with it and would most of the time rather have a job than just laze around. I think he has the employed mindset, to be honest. Next, you have Japard. Japard is a soldier and is 24/7 getting beat up by monsters every day. I definitely think he needs a union. This is specifically for the Herta puppets because Herta has definitely a different rank compared to all of these people. The Herta puppets suffer from daily abuse by their creator and explodes every day in the laboratory. And so I think they need a union. The Hertas need to join together to stand up to their master for more pay. Next, you have Himiko. I think she is very similar to Dan Heng when you put a job next to her. Well, actually, she does kind of have a 9-to-5 job, just cartographing, I guess, is that what it's called? And navigating the stars. That has to be really hard work that takes every day to do. Himiko loves coffee, which is a really good sign that that Himiko probably has been employed by a corporate entity at some point and lost a lot of sleep. And so I'll put her in the employed mindset. Next is Hook. Hook is like Clara, so you can't really employ her. Let's just put her in the unemployed tier. Next you have March. March is a photographer, but she doesn't really get paid for it. And she kind of just lives her life as an influencer. And I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this, but being influencer is not a job. I think she deserves to be with her girlfriend at the Jobless Final Boss. And her boyfriend, whatever you swing that way. Anyway, let's move on. Next is Natasha. Natasha is overworked to hell and definitely needs a union. She is the only doctor in probably the #1 place they need doctors the most, inside of a mining field. Next is Pela. Pela doesn't really get overworked. She has a pretty healthy work-life balance compared to Japard. So I think I'll just put her in employed. Next you have Ching Chue. Now Ching Chue is definitely the jobless final boss. She will actively not want to have a job. She will cheer if she gets fired from the Divination Commission. Even if you promote Ching Chue to Master Diviner, she will exhibit jobless behavior and will not show up to work on most days. She is a jobless final boss. Let's move on. Next you have Sampo. Now Sampo does have a job. It's called scamming kids and being generally an unpleasant person. If you consider scamming kids a 9-to-5, he is employed. However, he doesn't want to scam people every day. Most of the time, he kind of just wants to goof around and joke, which is classic signs of being an unemployed bastard. So let's just put him at employed with limits next to Jing Yuan. Next, you have Serval. Serval is self-employed, but nevertheless, she is employed. She's worked once in her life before as an engineer. And boy, do those people need a union too. So I'll just put her at employed. Next is Su Shang. Su Shang is a Cloud Knight. Apparently she's not very good at it, but she is employed and does want to do her job pretty well. Next you have Ting Yun. Ting Yun is employed, obviously. Welt is employed, probably just like Himiko with his attitude to work. Yan Qing is literally a lieutenant, so I'll guess yeah, he is pretty much employed. Next is Zila. Zila isn't always employed. When people ask her to take care of like some sort of thugs or anything, then she'll start to move, but most of the day she doesn't really have a job and she's homeless, so let's say she's just employed with limits. Next, you have Silverwolf. Silverwolf isn't really the type to turn down jobs just because she has a gaming session or anything. Even though you kind of expect her to be the jobless final boss as a gamer, she does drop a lot of her games just to kind of serve Elio and whatever job that she needs to do next, so she does have a couple of limits. Maybe if she really likes the game, she will deny a job from Elio. I can see that happening. So I think she's employed with limits. Next, you have Luocha. Luocha is... Do you consider killing a god unemployed? Yeah, he doesn't really have any sort of like commitments or anything. Did he actually like serve as a merchant or have an occupation as a merchant? Nah, just to be safe, let's put him at unemployed. Next you have Yukong. Yukong is slightly on the edge of needing a union, but to be honest, she has a pretty decent work and life balance and she's pretty old. She definitely needs to retire at this point. She doesn't have a lot of years left in her life. Next is Blade. Blade is employed. To be honest, he's like an empty husk. He literally kind of just exists to do his job. Next we have Kafka. Kafka is employed. She's not as soulless as Blade, obviously, but she does show up to work every day, kinda. Next you have Luca, same as Zila. Next you have Fu Xuan. Fu Xuan probably needs a union. Her underlings are not really showing up to work every day. Hi Qingque, she's the polar opposite of Qingque actually. And if you take away the Master Diviner role from her, I don't necessarily know what other character she's going to be. She's probably gonna freak out and make the universe explode if she loses her position. Link's graduated, right? I don't think she's a full-grown adult just yet. I think she's like 16 years old or something, so I think she is rightfully unemployed. Next you have Jing Liu. I think you have to put her at the same tier as Luocha. Next you have Topaz. It needs a union ASAP. The IPC in general needs a union. Actually, let me put everybody there. Next you have Guinaifen. Guinaifen is the first character to canonically be called unemployed by Hanya, so I think I'm gonna put her at the unemployed tier. However, the nature of her job is a lot more disappointing because she is unemployed, but the worst part is that she's a streamer. I want to explain something to you. Being a streamer is basically being paid to be unemployed. So yes, she is jobless. She is definitely unemployed. Next is Huohuo. Huohuo and the rest of the 10 Lords Commission probably has a lot of human abuses that they've suffered, and so I'll put them at needs a union ASAP. Next is Argenti. Argenti is kind of like a missionary, so he's unpaid, but he does kind of have a job just like Butil. So I don't think he's a full-blown employed person, he's just employed with limits. I think that's pretty fair for him. Next you have Sparkle. Sparkle is an actor, canonically, which is a job by the way, so I will say that she is employed. See, the thing is, I don't know if Sparkle is like a 24/7 actor, because she does hang out in the tavern, and well, she did take a commission from Elio, so maybe she doesn't take jobs that she doesn't like, but to be safe, I think it's better to put her at employed than employed with limits. Next we have Black Swan. Black Swan is kind of like Argenti, but then you would have to, like, is fortune telling considered a job or something? Like, does she have like a strict schedule just like any 9-to-5 person would? No, I think she kind of has an unemployed mindset. Let's put her next to Acheron just because it would fit. Next you have Ron May. Ron May is a scientist and probably gets commissioned to make, like, I don't know, biological horror somewhere, so I'll just put her unemployed. Next you have Misha. Misha is the... Do we consider him as like Mikhail or his Misha form? If he's just a bellboy, he needs a union ASAP. Well, we know what happens with bellboys and unions, but let's just put him at needs a union ASAP. Same with Gallagher. This guy is like the most caricature person of like somebody that's doing the job way too long. Like, this guy has probably a lot of midnight shifts, so let's put him at needs a union ASAP. Next you have Robin. Obviously, she's employed and can literally not escape her job, as it is a big part of her character, I suppose. Next you have Butil. Just like Argenti, he's employed with limits. Sometimes he doesn't like the job, so he will remain jobless because the job doesn't appeal to his ethics. He just kind of lays around in Penacony sometimes if he really feels like it. And, you know, he just wanders around the galaxy, you know, kind of homeless and stuff. But next we have Firefly. Firefly is employed. I don't think she really skips out on her job or anything. She doesn't deny jobs directly like the other Stellaron Hunters would, so let's just put her at employed. Next we have Yun Li. Does Yun Li actually have a job? No, she doesn't. She's unemployed. Next to Zhao Cho. Zhao Cho was a doctor. I don't necessarily know how well he can do his job after he became blind, so he is still an advisor to Fei Xiao, which is a 24/7 job. It's kind of his 9-to-5, so let's just say he's employed. Next we have Fei Xiao. Fei Xiao is a cop and takes it way more seriously than Jing Yuan, so let's put her at employed. Next is Motza, also employed. Isn't he like a janitor? This definitely fits him, actually. Next is Lingsha. Lingsha is like Bailu, she's a doctor, so she's pretty employed. Next you have Rappa. Rappa is a bounty hunter, but I am very hesitant to put her at the same tier as Butil because she definitely exhibits some Gen Z jobless behavior. So I think I'll put Rappa at the second highest tier. I don't think she's like actively avoiding a job, but she's probably so annoying that she can't keep a job. Next you have Sunday. Sunday is very much employed. You can hire this guy to like listen to confessions of people and offer advice and solace. I mean, he's basically a priest, right? And priests are employed, so let's just put him here. Next is Fugue. Well, okay, we already have Fugue, never mind. Next is Herta. Herta is employed with limits. Even though she has her own space station, she really doesn't manage it. Asta is the one who's doing all the work. Actually, maybe Asta needs a union next with Arlen. Maybe Arlen and Asta actually need a union because of how Herta treats them. Next is Aglaya. Aglaya definitely needs a union. She literally got assassinated at her job. What else is a better qualifier for that? Next you have Chibi. Chibi is employed. You know, the other children are rightfully unemployed, but Chibi is definitely employed. Maidi is also employed, either as like a chef or just being the guardian of Akama is really, you know, hard work. He has a 9 to 5 of just killing people, so he's definitely an unemployed person, yeah. Next you have Castris, kind of has the same vibe as Maidi, yeah. He's a protector of the people, so that's a thankless 9 to 5 job. She's definitely employed. Next is Anaxa, he's a teacher, and his work is never really over. He literally refused to die because his job was not over, so I think he's employed. Hyacinth is, her job is being like a doctor, so I think she's employed. Well, she is kind of like a TikToker, so maybe she's employed with limits. Nah, let's just say she's employed. Next you have Cypher. Do you consider burglary a job or not? Because to me, I don't consider it a job, but here's the thing. I feel like Cypher does burglary as a job because she really just doesn't want to do any sort of legitimate hardworking jobs whatsoever. She literally just does burglary so she doesn't have to work a 9 to 5. So I think she's kind of a jobless final boss too. Next is Finon. Finon can definitely carry a 9 to 5. He's not opposed to it. Saber. She is a knight, right? So she's 24/7 a bodyguard. That's definitely some employed mindset right there. Archer is definitely employed as well. High Sealance is a soldier, so yeah. I think she needs a union, to be honest. She's bordering here. Yeah, Lisbeth needs a union ASAP. The Redra is employed, I guess. Yeah, she's employed. And yeah, that's the entire tier list. So what do you guys think about the jobless tier list that I made? Like, comment, subscribe, do the algorithm stuff. Again, this is not serious whatsoever, and if you get mad about this, then I'm going to laugh at you. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.